Hey guys, Whatever Eats here, and today I am doing a highly requested video, r/entitled parents. Let's jump right into it. A little background. I work at a kennel where we have a lot of common customers and we tend to get to know their dog, and when the owner comes to collect their dog after the holiday, we start to get the dog ready to go. This is important. We hardly ever get into an argument with the customers, so when stuff happens, we're kind of shocked. This happened roughly 4 months ago, and we were just going about our day, walking the dogs, making sure they're fed and okay, when this about 40-year-old woman, we will call EP, and her 13 to 14-year-old son, we will call EB, started to look at all the dogs. And I see them taking photos of other dogs, which is perfectly okay, because some of the dogs there are really pretty, and people tend to like them. As I go to get one dog, the one they had taken the most pictures of, the dog was ready to be taken back. I get asked lots of questions, like what's its name, what's its gender, and can I pet it? EB, can I pet her? Me, yeah, sure, but you gotta be quick. I'm working, and we're already a bit behind schedule. EB, okay. I think nothing of it, and let her pet the dog for a bit. EP, so then we'll take it. Me? Sorry, I didn't quite catch what you were saying. I just thought she may had said something else because we don't sell dogs at our kennels. EP, starting to get a little agitated. I said, how much for the dog? Me, sorry, we don't sell dogs. And plus, this is a customer's dog, and we are just looking after it for a while they are away. But we do rescue dogs and try to get them a home. I suggested that she take a look at the rescue dogs, as they are really friendly, and they are what we have got for grabs. EB, Mom, I want this one. Me, sorry, this one's not for sale. At this moment, I could feel the heat radiating off the EP, and I could tell you she was getting very angry. EP, you don't own the dog, so I think we should be able to take it for free. I just stood there looking really confused at her by the fact that she thinks that because I don't own it and I'm looking after it, she can have it. My boss comes over to ask what the commotion is. She says that it's her dog and that I won't let her take it back home, and the boss just looked at me and laughed, because as we said before, we tend to know a lot of the dogs and their owners. And this dog comes to the kennel like once a month. He wants to see how far she'll take it, and my boss just asks a few questions. EP, so I will be on my way then, in a very cocky sort of way. Me and boss, yes, we will just grab her stuff. Luckily, we were just looking after the dog in daycare because the owner was going to do some house decoration, and the dog is massive, so we thought the dog might get in the way. During the time we had to get her ready, we just stole time, like saying stuff like, oh, I forgot our toys, or leash, or some random stuff that EP just went along with, because the dog wasn't hers, and she didn't know what the dog had. During this time, we call up the owner, and he is mad. We hear him say, 1 second, and roughly 5 minutes later, we see his truck come racing down the road to where the kennel is. Owner, where is that one who tried to steal my dog? Me and my boss go, oh dang, as we know something was about to go down. Give me my flippin' dog back. EP, well, we just signed the paperwork and it's ours. They pushed past the man, and as they were walking away, he whistled and because his two dog, it's so big, it managed to push both EP and EB. They let go of all the stuff, and EP yells, I will sue you all. We just hear the owner say, stupid one, under his breath, and we just laughed it off, and we never heard from her ever again. Oh. Well, that one had a nice ending. Alright, on to the next one. Shortly after college, I worked for an auto insurance company called All Forward Thinking General Lizard Farm. I went to body shops, tow yards, and people's homes to inspect vehicles that were damaged in car accidents, write estimates, pay body shops for repairs, etc. I was really good at my job because I grew up around auto mechanics and body shop repair technicians. I had learned as a teen that these shops were no place for a child. There were tools, chemicals, and of course, cars inside body shops that children should not be near. This took place in the January I started my job. I was spending a day at one particular shop at which I had gotten to know the staff and the manager really well. Shop manager Clark was a married man with 3 kids, and his oldest was in college and working full-time at the shop. Clark's son, Clark Jr., worked as a receptionist. This was a very corporate-minded shop, so everything was run legally. They had an accounts manager, Harley, and the shop had estimators of their own, Bruce, Barry, and Diana. Clark, Harley, Bruce, Barry, and Diana all had their own offices. There is a main reception area for customers to sit, and all the action in the shop took place through swinging double doors next to the receptionist's counter. These doors were painted red, with signs warning people about fumes, hazardous conditions, and not to go into the area without safety gear. This is essential information for what happens next. On this day, EM, entitled Mom, arrives with EK, entitled Kid, who is about 2 or 3 years old. I was sitting in Clark's office when EM arrived, which was directly on the other side of the reception area from the front door. EM practically yanked EK's right arm to lead him into the shop, and EK whined. I didn't do anything because it wasn't the first time I'd seen a child pulled like that, but I didn't like it. Clark Jr. Hey, how can I help you today? EM, I'm here to see ED, entitled Dad. Clark Jr. Okay, I'll see if I can get him for you. EM, I'm kind of in a hurry, so please make it fast. EM sat down and started playing on her phone. Clark Jr. put on his protective gear, goggles, and a mask for the fumes, and went through the doors. Clark and I had to go to Harley's office, which was behind the desk, to make copies. We walked in front of the red swinging doors just in time because EK ran towards the doors. Clark put out his arm to block the kid and gently guided him back to the reception area. Things went 0 to 100. Real quick. EM threw down her phone and jumped up from the sofa she was sitting on. What are you doing to my child? Don't touch him. Clark, I'm sorry, ma'am, but no one is allowed back there, and he was running into the shop area. EM, he was going to see his father. She snatched EK up, who was crying by now, and picked him up. All this yelling in a naturally quiet shop also drew a crowd. Diana, Bruce, and Barry were now watching from their offices as well. To make matters worse, Clark Jr. came back with ED, so there's now half a dozen adults watching the scene unfold. He is just a child, EM shrieked. Harley, ma'am, even though he's just a child, he isn't allowed into the shop. There are dangerous things back there. Edie walked over to EM and took EK from her. EM, I don't care. Don't tell me how to raise my child. Ma'am, she looked over at Clark, and don't put your hands on my child either. I should point out now that Clark Jr., and I are all African American. I personally had a few words for EM at that point, but Clark responded first. He said to Edie, just take her outside and talk to her, please. Edie, did you put your hands on my child? Clark, I don't want to discuss this right now. Just talk to her outside. EM, that racial slur, put his hands on our child, Edie. He had no right to do that. Edie, you shouldn't be touching my child, Clark. Harley, Edie, no, this is my child. I'm going to set some rules for all of you. Don't touch my child. I don't care what he's doing. You ain't his parents, so you ain't got a right to touch your child. That goes for all of you. Now, I understand Clark is Mr. Big Boss Man around here, but this is my child, and you have no right to touch him. Clark, just go home. All 3 of you. Edie, you're fired. EM and Edie really started yelling then. Even though the child started crying again, they called Clark and his son the same racial slur a handful of times. With those to the corporate body shop. Clark, the entire office, and threats of a lawsuit. Then they left, slamming the glass front door of the building hard enough to crack the bottom half of the door. The threats of the lawsuit are carried out, and as I overheard conversations between Clark and the corporate shop lawyers, Harley, Diana, and everyone else had to give statements about what they had overheard, and I even testified at a deposition that EM and ED had used racial slurs, foul language, and had damaged the shop's glass doors. which in wintertime was even worse because of the fluctuating temperatures. As far as I know, ED and EM did not win their lawsuit. Alright, well, that's it for that one. And I get how the parents might have thought that, hey, don't put your hands on my child, but I can't believe they didn't care enough to not let him go through the doors, let alone even just watch him. If they had just done that, Edie might have kept his job. Alright, next story. So for some context, I'm a 17-year-old male and I work at a Segway tour company. It's actually really fun. I get to ride Segways around the city, talk to people, and I get paid to do it. Plus, the tipping isn't bad. So anyway, there was a tour booked a couple of days ago, and I came in about 20 minutes early to answer emails and get everything ready. The group shows up, mother and daughter, and that's when things get interesting. I'm not going to insult your intelligence by telling you what EP and me stands for, but D equals daughter, and FBI equals Federal Bureau of Investigation. Wait a minute. EP and D come in, and I check them in. Me. Alright, I have some waivers for you to sign, D. How old are you? D. 16. Me. Okay, then you don't need to sign a waiver. I ask this because if kids are younger than 18, their parents sign the waivers for them. But EP only heard me say that first part, not when I said D didn't need to sign a waiver. So she thought I was just asking her how old her daughter was. That was probably what started it all. We go on the tour, and while I'm giving my spiel, EP keeps interrupting me to tell me stuff about D and find if we are compatible. Me. And so this nonprofit organization opened in EP. Are you in college? Me. No, I'm a junior in high school. I'm usually pretty free about info of myself on tours because it helps keep people relaxed and initiates conversations during lulls in the tour. Plus, it helps with tipping. EP. Oh, D is also junior. She's an artist. Stuff like this keeps happening throughout the tour, and every time D gets redder and redder. My mom does this too, where she just tells random mall attendants about me. So I know what D is going through, and I feel her pain. At the end of the tour, I tell the two of them that they have 15 minutes to go around the town, and they can meet me back at the Segway place. I get back and start getting things set up for their return. They roll in, pardon the pun, and I take their Segways to start charging them. EP. So, what'd you think of my daughter? Me. Pardon me? What? EP. I saw you checking her out during the tour. Are you gonna ask her out? D. Mom, stop. Me. Ma'am, I just recently got out of a relationship, and I'm not really looking for anyone right now. EP. What? Me? Huh? EP. Is my daughter not good enough for you? Me. No, that's not it. I just said that I got out of a relationship. EP. You are going to date my daughter, and that's final. Me. You can't tell me what to do. I'm not your kid, and if I don't want to date your daughter, I don't have to. Besides, you haven't even asked her if she wants to date me. D. Yeah, I don't want to date him. Me. See? EP. I'm going to call your boss and tell him about your terrible customer service. You're never going to work in this city again. Me. Pulling out my phone. All right, you want to call him and explain the situation? How you're trying to force me to date your daughter and get me fired for saying no? Then I guess the absurdity of the situation finally sunk in, and her face transitioned from pure rage to slight confusion. EP. Wait, maybe I don't want to. Me. No. Let's call him. Start going through my contacts. Press my boss's name. Let's have this conversation. EP. I don't think that's a good idea. Phone starts ringing. EP. D, let's go. EP runs out the door. D turns to me and says, I'm sorry, and then follows her mom. I hang up the phone before my boss answers and start cleaning the Segways. Oh, that's such a good one. It was a win-win for the person telling the story. And I feel bad for D, who got embarrassed multiple times throughout the tour. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video of Entitled Parents, and I'll see you next time. Have a good day.